Hi, Sebastian from UHT here, and today's video is all about the starting stack of your tournament, as the newest update allows you now to define a starting stack for each of your tournaments and of course display it in many different ways inside your timer. Let's have a look. So whenever you're configuring your tournament, like here when I'm creating a new one, you will find a new step at the bottom of the configuration called starting stack. And once you enable it, you will see all your chips here that are available in your configuration, including their denomination value. And now you can define how many of those chips should make up your starting stack. You can simply click here to increase the values here and make up your starting stack. Let me, for example, do it like this. And on the right side, you will get see how much chips this are in total for this denomination. This like 50 times 19. And the bottom you have a sum. And of course, if you misconfigure something, UHT will tell you that your total does not match your configured chips amount. So let me correct this here. And here you can basically now define every chip that should go into your starting stack. Of course, everything you see here, like the design of the chips and the denomination values, builds up on the previous steps. So for example, if I enter my chip denomination configuration here, I can also select a different design like this one here. And if I'm coming back to this overview, you'll see the chips have updated. Or even if I don't like the denomination values, I can switch them up here. So I can configure, or let me switch back to the default ones. So our starting stack is correct again. And now if I go back to chip denominations, I can, for example, switch the orange one to 5K. Even if I don't use the chip denominations, I have to enable it once so I can change the values and I can disable it afterwards. And now you can see that the value for the orange chip updated. And this way I can change all the properties of the chips in a very simple way. So once I'm done configuring my starting stack, I can create a tournament and open it up. I have prepared here a tournament where I also configured a starting stack. So let's just open up this tournament. And as you can see, nothing has changed. It's the same old display here, the default display. But once you go inside the menu, you will find a new button here called starting stack. And this is basically for you as a host, so you can see which chips were configured in the configuration. Maybe you set up your tournaments quite in advance and forgot how your starting stack looked like. And now you have an easy way to get the screen up and see your configured values here. Of course, once you start a tournament, this button disappears because when a tournament started, I think everybody should have their stacks already prepared. So once I start a tournament, you will see this button goes away, and only if I reset the tournament, I will get this button back. So this is one of the ways how I can access my starting stack. Let's check out a few different ways. Of course, UHT also lets you access all this starting stack information inside the designer, so you can build in all this chips and denominations and starting stack values inside your designs. Let's check it out by opening the designer. I have already opened the default UHT design here, and you can see nothing special here, but what I like to do at my tournaments is to show the starting stack configuration as long as the tournament hasn't started yet. So a way to do it would be creating a separate area here where I can display my chips. So let's, for example, create a text here saying starting stack and then add our chips here. So for example, which is also new in this releases, I can create a picture, and instead of selecting a new picture and upload it, I can simply go to the settings here and select one of my chips here. So for example, I can select the black chip here and it will show here. And add a new text component to display its configuration. Of course, I could hard code it and tell my design that I need 5 times or 5 of these black chips, but of course, this is not practical. So if your configuration changes, you would need to do everything new again or repeat the whole process. So it does make much more sense to use placeholders here. So let's access the placeholders and search for chips. And you will see these new placeholders here. So for example, chip denomination for color, I can copy it to the clipboard and paste it here. And this one actually allows me to access the values of the chips. And it's a bit hard to see here, but basically you write this placeholder and replace this X here at the end, like it's described here, with the color of the chip you want to access. So for example, I want to have the denomination value for the black colored chips. So I replace the X here with black. I save it, and you can see here UHT resolves it to 100, which is of course correct. And we can go even further and now access the amount of those black chips inside our starting stack. I copy it here, tell it to be times amount, and now also replace the X with black. Save it, and you can see here it resolves to 0 because the configuration here in the designer does not have any starting stack configured. But I can always switch the configuration to a different one. And you can see here in my tournament, which I opened up a second ago, was configured that I would require 10 black chips. And I can, of course, repeat this for different chips. I have already prepared it, so you don't have to watch me do it. And this should look something like this. So I have a special starting stack area here where I have defined 4 of the chips I always use, or most of the times use for my tournaments, and have, just like we saw it before, used placeholders to display the values. And now if I open up my tournament, which we saw earlier, I can go and switch the design to this theme. And now we see the starting stack being part of the design. And the cool part is I defined it in the designer in a way that this box here only shows as long as the tournament hasn't started yet. So once I start the tournament, everything goes back to normal and I see my blinds and everything. But as long as the tournament didn't start, I have my starting stack configuration, and of course you can design it in a way like you want. I just find it nice to display to all the players how their stack is set up so they can check their chips and see if all the chips that should be in their stack are there actually, right? Okay, another interesting way of incorporating your starting stack into your design is by using a separate layer for those. Let's go back into the designer and open up our default skin here. And instead of building your starting stack inside the design itself, we can simply create a new layer. So let's go to the layers and create a countdown layer, which shows up before the tournament starts if you set up a countdown. I will show you this in a second. So let's go save and close, and we get a completely new layer to design here. And I can now basically create something like this, where I tell tournament is starting in, add the main timer here, and here I can go ahead and create the same setup we saw earlier with the chips here and their denomination values, and here, for example, also text like starting stack, and so on. I have also prepared this one here, so you don't have to watch me do it. I have here a different default configuration. So you can see here I have the same default skin here, but have added a new layer called countdown. And in this layer I have simply the information when the tournament starts with a countdown and present to the user the starting stack. And if you want to use it inside your tournament, you simply switch to this design. So, and now you go to the settings and define a countdown. So let's say I want the tournament start in a minute. Oh, let's a bit more. So the minute is counting down, and after the countdown, the tournament should automatically start. Of course, we have a bit of misconfiguration here. Let me reset the tournament one more time. So the configuration is correct. And you can see here, we have our timer, which is of course now, oh, wait a second, we need to create a better time. So we have a countdown of 30 seconds, and as long as the countdown is running, I can see my starting stack configuration, and the users can check their stacks. And once the countdown reaches 0, the tournament should automatically start if I enabled this toggle here. So now let's watch a few seconds of the countdown counting down, and then the tournament should start and our starting stack should disappear. Amazing. Tournament started, our chip information is gone, and well, this is basically the two main ways how you can use the chips in your design. Of course, since you can use these images for everything, you can even set up a very custom chip denomination display like I have done here. Oh no, I didn't save it. Okay. Oh, no, here is it. All right, so I have included the chips here instead of the bottom because I use a certain chip design here which has already denominations inside of them. So I don't want to display them at the bottom. I simply inserted the images here, and even I could even go and create different layers for different times in the tournaments where I switch out these chips for different ones when they need to be colored up or exchanged for different ones, right? So you have all the freedom here. Use the chips, use the new placeholders for your tournaments, and yeah, show off your chips to your users, like our slogan for this release says. So that was already it. I hope you like it and those features are something you would like to use. If you need something else or have ideas, suggestions, or problems, comment down below or visit our Reddit community. And if you like this content, give it a thumbs up so other users can easily find us with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you, and I see you in the next one. Goodbye.